Hey guys, Blonde Assassin or Toxic Caster here, and today, as you can see by the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about the overall necessity of Dragon Dungeons. I know if you guys don't know, Dragon Dungeons are dungeons that, it's not the weekend, so I can't really go into one of them, but they're dungeons over the weekend that you need energy and dragon sigils to enter. And the only way to get dragon sigils is by farming in extreme mode anywhere in the campaign. So any extreme mode has a random chance to drop dragon sigils, or you can just buy dragon sigils from, where is it? No, right here. You can also buy dragon sigils from the clan shop, but I highly recommend against this because this 4 dragon sigils for 50 clan medals, which is highly inefficient. Anyways, so the drops from dragons are as follows. From floors 1 to 3, I believe it is you get either a 3, a 4, or a 5-star gem of a certain shape, so it's slightly like golems. As you can see in golems, from floors 1 to 3, you'll get a 2 to 3 star gem, but in dragons, it's 3 to 5. I believe from stages 4 to 6 in dragons, you will get I believe it's a 4 to 5-star gem. And from 7 to 9 in dragons. Wait, no, sorry. I think. Is it 4 to 6? I think it's 4 to 6 for dragons 4 to 6. You can get a 4 to 6-star gem. And from dragons 7 to 9, you can get a 5 to 6-star gem. And from dragons B10, you will always get a 6-star gem. Now, for dragons 1 through 9, it is the same format as the golems, except triangles and diamonds are switched. So for example, dragons 1, 4, and 7 will drop triangles. Is that right? No, wait. No. Sorry. It's not even. It's a little bit different than that. Dragons 1, 4, and 7 will actually drop squares. Dragons 2, 5, and 8 will drop triangles. And dragons 3, 6, and 9 will drop diamonds. Whereas dragon 10, it has a chance to be any shape. Obviously, dragons 10 being all 6-star gems, that is the most coveted to farm after. However, there are very few people in the game that can actually do dragons 10 without any continues, and most of those teams aren't even 100% without continues, which means you're pretty much paying Aster gems to get a random 6-star gem, which can be sometimes good, and sometimes it just doesn't work out at all. Now, the drops from dragons, besides just going on gem shapes, obviously, because if you just wanted gems, you obviously wouldn't even need dragon sigils, you could just farm golems. But what's special about dragons isn't just the fact that you have a higher chance to get a higher grade gem. You can get these special gems. There are 3 different types of special gems. There is the Pugilist set, which grants a 20% chance to stun. Leech set, which has a 20% HP drain based on the damage that you deal, I believe. And Siphon set, which is a SP drain plus 40% based on the damage you deal once again. Alright, now to talk about these sets. First off, let's log that. Let's not accidentally sell that. To talk about these sets. First off, let's talk about the functions of these sets. Pugilist is pretty good. Obviously, it's only going to be used in PvP, as you're not going to use it versus PvE content, as you're not really going to be able to stun the bosses. I guess you could use a Pugilist set for Tower of Chaos, but then again, it's honestly not. It's pretty much only useful in PvP, mostly on monsters such as like Wood Valkyrie or Wood Leo and certain monsters like that. Now, Pugilist set actually functions as follows. It's a really weird interaction. It's actually that the more hits that you do, for example, a Wood Leo does like 4 hits on its thing or something like that, or maybe even 5. The more hits that your monster does, the more percentage chance to stun it is. I believe it's actually like each hit that your monster does has a 20% chance to stun, if I'm not mistaken. So for example, a Wood Kokomaru only hits twice actually in his attack animation. So that would only be like 20%, then another 20% to stun. And to go further with that, it's also so that's why, like, for example, on Wood Leo, it's very useful because Wood Leo, his first skill, his 3-star skill, makes use of Pugilist set a lot, as does his 5-star skill. I think that's another 4 hits, and the Wood Valkyries and all the Valkyries in general have also a really high chance of proccing it due to their active, because it's obviously it's like I think 6 hits or something like that. So when choosing who to use your Pugilist set on, I would say to that you want to use it on someone with a lot of hits in their attack. But that's not to say that it's 100% necessary, because while you are getting this stun chance, which granted it can be pretty good, number one, the Pugilist set is only useful in PvP, just to reiterate that point a little bit. And number two, so when I say it's only useful in PvP, that is a con, because it won't really help you progress in the game at all. And the number two reason that it's like kind of like meh is because you actually it's very hard to get Pugilist gems and any gems at all that are dragon sets that are high quality with good substats. And this goes to the point whereas it's kind of the same way that it's hard to get regular gems that have really good substats, and that's because obviously you have to farm for a long time to get like a really nice gem with a good main stat and good substats. And the difference between dragon sets and the normal sets is that dragon sets, obviously you can only farm on the weekend, you can only farm them a set amount of time, and you have to manual battle it, which means that it's going to take a lot longer. Like, for example, I've been farming dragon since it came out. These are pretty much like all my dragon gems that I have. Like, this is pretty much all of them that have like decent substats, and some of them aren't even that good of substats. So as you can see, like like I don't even have that many dragon gems. I mean, I don't prioritize dragons or anything, but still, it takes a long time to get dragon gems with like really good substats. Now, moving on to the Leech set. The Leech set is honestly not very useful on anyone, except I would argue it could be useful on aggressors. And I mean, it could be useful on some other units as well, but for the most part, you really need your unit to be tanky to want to have to want to use your gem set towards self-sustaining. Now, I'm not saying that it's like the least useful on anything else. It's just for other units, you would actually prefer a normal gem set over this. For example, if we take into example like I don't know, say a light snow is already a self-sustainer, so like yeah, let's just say like well, why not? Let's just say like Woodbeth or something like that, right? All right, Woodbeth. Obviously, it increases damage when attacking water Acermons, but are you really going to need a Leech set on it, or would you prefer like that extra tankiness or extra damage, or maybe even some crit rate on it? Like, you know what I mean? The healing by itself isn't going to really help, because you're already going to like be relying on healers in general, and it's not really going to be doing very much damage to begin with. That is going to have a significant heal, whereas monsters like Light Nike, they're going to be doing a very significant amount of damage, and because they're doing a significant amount of damage and they're very like defense heavy, it'll actually restore a decent amount of their health compared to something like Woodbeth, Woodbeth isn't even comparable damage really to Light Nike. In most cases, I obviously like if a Woodbeth gets its active off with like a defense break against a water Astromon, it can do some pretty significant damage. But for the most part, it's just not worth running like Leech sets on almost any units, I'd argue, besides aggressors and possibly some self-sustainers. Like, for example, I mean, I guess Wood Arthur is a bad example because he heals enough, but like say like a Fire Succubus, I mean, okay, Fire Succubus needs crit as well actually. Say like a Light Snowy. We'll go back to Light Snowy. For Light Snowy, it's like it's pretty much already gonna heal enough, right? Like, I mean, sure, you could have the Leech set and just to increase its healing enough already, but it's not like it's a tanky unit, and so like it's already going to heal for most of its HP. Running a Leech set isn't as good as running like something that's going to be able to give it more damage even. And maybe that's a personal preference, but I think that it's actually the right decision. Anyways, so that's my opinion on a Leech set. Again, it is also really hard to get better substats, and the Leech set's only useful on one archetype of monster, which would be, I would say, the defense aggressors. So not the most useful in my opinion. Although I am just keeping some, I mean, just cause, why not? The third set is obviously Siphon. Now, let me just preface this by saying pretty much Siphon is super niche, and the only thing it's pretty All right, some people are going to disagree with me on this one, but I think it's right. Siphon is pretty much only good on, I'd say, Dark Cupid, Light Hannah, and for farming story mode. Now, personally, I am going to try my... I can't give any merit to this yet. I am going to try it on my Fire Valk just to see how it stacks up with her already SP Siphon based on damage. But right now, obviously, Light Hannah is pretty good because she is an aggressor and a healer. But, like, it's, for the most part, like, it's running a Siphon set on monsters that need the extra, like, damage. For example, if I run a Siphon set on my Wood Arthur, like, it's not worth the... Okay. It's not worth the little tiny bit of SP that you get per attack, and for sacrificing that 20% attack bonus. And when I say that, I mean you guys all probably think that Siphon set is super good, but you have to keep in mind that it's based on the amount of damage you deal. Number one, and number two, that you don't get the set bonus that you would normally get, and number three, it is a sliver. Like you barely get anything off Siphon set. So that's why I think the only good thing it is for like healing aggressors and for farming story mode. Obviously for farming story mode, that's kind of self-explanatory. Like it's just like it's gets your whole active on the first turn pretty much, and then you can just breeze through the entire thing. So that's like fine. I understand farming story mode. It makes runs super fast. But other than that, like obviously running it on healers is pretty good because healers need their active, but most other monsters don't like need their active like so badly that they're gonna like run a Siphon set for it, because running a Siphon set it's such a it makes such a minuscule difference that it's usually just not worth it. It usually makes no difference, and you'd rather have that extra bit of attack or tankiness or whatnot. All right, so after going over all these dragon sets, we have to keep in mind. Okay, so we have Pugilist, good for PvP. Siphon, good for farming. It makes runs faster. I will give it that. That can contribute to progression, and also for the most part, if you're going to want to use it on a monster not for just story mode farming, it's going to be super, super niche. Like, I don't even know if it would work on Light Valkyrie, obviously, or I mean, sorry, not Light, but Fire Valkyrie. I'd have to test that out. Light Hannah, it would be like, it is really, I do like it on my Light Hannah. So if you have a Light Hannah or Dark Cupid, sure, go ahead for Siphon. And then, you have the, Leech gems, which are like, okay, no one likes Leech gems pretty much, except for like defense aggressors, because again, they don't really heal for too much based on the damage that you deal, and that little bit that they heal for isn't really gonna like make a huge difference on a total percentage of your HP. So all in all, I would say that like I know a lot of people are trying to get to dragons and really want to farm dragons a lot, but my advice to you guys is like, honestly, don't even sweat it. Just let it happen when it happens, because the stuff that you can get, yes, it's like decent gems, but like at the same time, you have to manual all the runs, number one. Number two, you have to actually like put in a lot of resources to training set teams to fight set elements of dragons. Like I know making my fire dragon team has took me like a couple months. No, I mean, to be fair, I had a lot of side projects, so I wasn't just like only working on that. But it takes a long time to create a set team of monsters. You have to have certain monsters to be able to get higher in dragons, like good monsters in each element and stuff like that. So it can be a lot of work for not very much payout, especially considering the fact that the 3 gem types aren't even that good, and you don't even get like insanely high level gems until you can beat Dragons B7, in which point you're already in late game, so like might as well farm it. So my advice to players that are thinking about like doing the dragons dungeons and stuff like that and making that their goal, like, oh, I want to be able to do dragons B4, 5, and 6. My advice is just like, you know, it's really not necessary. You're not going to get that good of gems, and you're not really going to get that good of gems. It's going to be like the same rarity of golems, except that you have 3 extra sets, which number one aren't even that good, except for very niche things that don't really help with progression, and number two, like, you're not really going to get anything else out of... I mean, I don't really know what to say. It's just so rare that you're going to get a good gem, and it's even more rare that you're going to get, like, a really good 6-star gem out of, like, dragons levels, like, 4, 5, and 6. That it makes it just not worth to put in all that effort and resources into making teams for things that aren't even going to yield healthy progression throughout the game. Now, obviously, I understand trying to farm for like one Siphon set for like these capture events, as they can be very annoying and stuff, and that's fine. But I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't go all out and spending resources on just like making certain dragon teams and stuff like that. I think that is a waste of resources, and I think it's kind of like it kind of baits new players into doing that because they want to be like, oh, they want to like be able to beat the end game content, kind of like beating the game, whereas really that just halts your progression towards future projects. One last thing I want to touch on before the video ends. That's obviously like why most people do dragons is the gem sets and just like the higher level gems. But one last thing I want to talk about is you do get astral essence from it, and these can hatch either fire, water, or wood djinn. And let me just say these are all bad Astromon. I think water djinn is the best one out of all of them, and he's not even that good. He has like a half a water purse 3-star skill, and then like not even as good as a water purse. Sorry, half a light purse 3-star, and then like a little bit of a water purse 5-star skill. So he's not even that good. Actually, we'll just hatch one right now. Why not? But yeah, I don't. If you're, there's no reason that you should be doing it for djinn. If you're gonna be doing dragons for djinn, then like, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you at that point. It's gonna take you forever to even be able to do that. But regardless, guys, I guess that's my opinion on Dragon Dungeon. I really just don't think it's worth it at all for newer players to do it. Once you've already hit that late game point where you have like 16 6-star monsters and stuff like that, I would say go ahead and try to get as high as you can in dragons, as you already have a solid core of monsters that are already built up. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. I just see a lot of newer players asking questions about like how they should go about doing dragons and stuff, and I really just think like it doesn't make me like sad or anything like that. I'm not gonna get sad over this, but you know, it's just a little bit disappointing that newer players think they have to like go to dragons, like that's some kind of like goal or something. I mean, it's good to set it as a goal, but like it's not really gonna help you that much, and I think that there's better things to use your resources on. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.